Hello and welcome back to another Royal Reviewer transmission. Today, if I'm not mistaken, is the 23rd of April 2023 and I'm coming at you a day after my previous video. It's Sunday. I wasn't planning on coming at you at all today. In fact, I've had to take a break from my cleaning because I need to take this opportunity to expand on yesterday's video. So if you haven't seen yesterday's video, please do go and check it out. It is all about the letter, the correspondence that Meghan and King Charles were having and the revelations that is in existence. So let's just backtrack. Also, we will be wishing Prince Louis a very happy birthday as well. So we'll talk about that and the photos. But I really want to deal with the kind of follow-up aspects of the previous video. So when I made the previous video, about 2 hours later after it had gone live, we had a response from Meghan, from the Duchess of Sussex. So I do want to read that response at the start of this video, and of course we will dissect it. So 15 hours ago, as of I'm recording this video, Omid Scobie tweeted the response and also an article as well. So immediately after this statement was made, I will read it in a second, I did post a link on the community page. No, I posted a link to the article in the video description, and I also posted a picture of the statement in the community section so that everybody had an updated version of events, and then I said I was going to talk about it in today's video, which I'm doing now. So let's read the statement, and it's a very curious statement. In fact, it's quite revealing. It reveals quite a lot, I think, about the inner workings of the mind, inside the mind of Meghan Markle. Okay, so it reads, the Duchess of Sussex is going about her life in the present, not thinking about correspondence from 2 years ago, related to conversations from 4 years ago. Any suggestion otherwise is false and frankly ridiculous. We encourage tabloid media and various royal correspondents to stop the exhausting circus that they alone are creating. Okay, so again, backtracking to yesterday's video. In the video, I said that people on social media, journalists, were saying that the leaking of that correspondence came from the Sussex camp. What we see now is some backpedaling from journalists. Certain journalists have apologised for making the suggestion that it was the Sussexes that put out that information. I think what is really important at the moment is to find out actually where this came from. So the article was published in The Telegraph. The Telegraph is not actually a tabloid newspaper, it is a broadsheet. It's classed as a broadsheet. So when they say we encourage tabloid media, the Telegraph, in its physical form, is actually a broadsheet newspaper. So it's not technically classed as a tabloid. The tabloids in the UK are the ones with like the big red red tabs or blue tabs. That's why it's called a tabloid. Anyway, so the real key to decoding all of this is actually, where did it come from? If it didn't come from the Sussexes, if it didn't come from the palace, where did it come from? And that is the key to all of this. So at the very start of this video, I'm going to say, I don't think this is over. I don't think Meghans' statement is the end of this, because there's still a lot of unanswered questions. And I think eventually, as with all royal watching, it eventually all comes out in the wash. And it will be very telling when it does, because I'm going to discuss various options about where it may have come from and what the implications of those are. But when we do eventually actually find out where it did come from, it will tell us a lot. So I'm going to go back to this article and just kind of dissect it again. Not the article, the statement, and dissect it again. So the Duchess of Sussex is going about her life in the present, not thinking about correspondence from 2 years ago. Right. Well, I don't think they are going about their lives in the present, because most things that they have done in the media to make money have actually been based on the past. I think very much that the past lives in the forefront of their minds, certainly with relation to Prince Harry with Spare. I mean, that is completely a retrospective look. It was all about things from the past. In the Netflix series, it was very much looking at the past. Meghan was reflecting on the past in the podcast. So I don't think, although I don't think I think it's true. Conversations from 4 years ago are not in the forefront of her mind when she's going about her daily business. I do think that it is still the past is very important to the Sussexes. It's a great it's the past is something that they draw from a lot, and I think that the past most definitely dictates their immediate doings and probably what they plan for the future. So another thing that we learn is that the correspondence was definitely from 2 years ago. We also learn that they are not denying the existence of the correspondence. Basically, they are saying that the correspondence is absolutely 100%, it's there. They are not denying it. It's not a denial. And relating to conversations 4 years ago. So the conversations about Archie's skin colour and the royal that was implied in the Oprah interview, we get clarification that was from 4 years ago. So puts it, I think, around about 2019. So just for clarification, they are confirming that. So any suggestion otherwise is false and frankly ridiculous. Well, that's opinion. That's opinion presented as fact. We do have to always be careful with opinion presented as fact. We encourage tabloid media and various royal correspondents to stop the exhausting circus that they alone are creating. Well, I don't think that's entirely true, because what Meghan and Harry have done now and in the past is feed the beast. They have fed the royal correspondence and the tabloid press and broadsheet press and media and people on Twitter and just anybody. They have fed the beast. This is the whole thing about never complain, never explain. If you don't feed the beast, you don't have to explain. Now we see a major case of Meghan trying to explain. If you don't feed the beast, you don't have to explain anything. So by doing the Oprah interview, directly by doing the Oprah interview, she has caused a series of events that have led to yesterday's story and, of course, Meghan's own denial, I suppose, of where it came from. So it's, you set in motion your own chain of events, and that is most definitely what the Sussexes have done. We are still going to see rumblings and fallouts from Prince Harry's Spare. So years down the line, if things are dragged up and stories are made or new information is presented, are they then going to try and call out the tabloids for starting an exhausting circus that they are creating, when in actual fact it was created and started by the Sussexes themselves? So again, I think this statement is trying to put out that Meghan is sort of unbothered by everything, but to me, it just says that she is majorly bothered. I mean, this is a statement by someone, from someone who is really riled up. It comes across as being kind of dismissive, but if you really are unbothered, then you are not going to put out a statement of that nature, pertaining to that nature. So going back to the journalists that were saying that it was put out by the Sussex camp, apparently legal letters were issued, or legal legal teams were involved from the Palace side and the Sussex side. Now, this is where it starts to get a little bit complicated, and we have to kind of use our imaginations to think about the various different options that could be in play at the moment. So, the Palace, with their legal letters, we don't know what the legal letters say, so that is something that I think we definitely need to bear in mind. And we don't think that some people on social media are speculating that the legal letter from the Palace was to the Sussexes. I don't think that's true. I think from reading what various journalists have been saying, the backpedaling from those journalists, I think the letter from the Palace was a warning to the publications about printing this, about printing it, or about saying that it was from the Sussexes. So I don't think it was to the Sussexes, although that is still very much a possibility, but I don't think it's a likely one. And we know that the Sussexes' letters were, I think, to the journalists in general. So what we're seeing is very similar, apart from the Palace being involved. So just kind of take that away for a moment. What we're seeing is a similar pattern from the Sussexes, from Meghan, when it comes to letters. Of course, we need to discuss the famous sort of a letter to her father, Thomas Markle, and that the Thomas Markle letter debacle, as I like to call it, where Meghan sent a letter to her father that was, supposed to be constructed with a view to the fact that it may get published. And then basically Meghan, I think this is how it went, via her friends, leaked the existence of the letter to People magazine, and then obviously People magazine published a narrative. Thomas Markle didn't agree with that narrative, shared the source letter with the Daily Mail, who then republished the letter. Meghan claimed copyright, i.e., took legal action. What we're seeing potentially is something very similar. Did Meghan or Harry or somebody from the Sussex camp actually, despite the denial, we know what the denial says, but did they leak it to the media? And then when the media sort of didn't publish the correspondence but spoke about it, now we're backpedaling. It's a very similar pattern, and it's one that Meghan, knows works because she won her legal case for copyright. Now, I don't think they could take legal action for copyright as such. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not quite sure of the legalities because the actual word for word content of that correspondence wasn't published. It was more about the themes of it. So I don't know in which sort of vein they could take legal action. Potentially could be slander or whatever, defamation, potentially around that. But it is a similar pattern that we have seen played out before. So when there's previous, we cannot discount that previous. It is most definitely an option. Going back to the Palace involvement, that is where it's different because the Palace is also objecting to it, is objecting to the bringing to the table of this information that there was correspondence and the themes involved with it. The Palace is basically denying. So is the Palace actually sticking up for Harry and Meghan? Are we actually seeing what Harry and Meghan have wanted all along, which is for the Palace to stand up and almost defend them? So by sending out these legal letters, although they're not putting out a statement as such as Meghan has done, is King Charles actually trying to support them? Was there correspondence behind the scenes, phone calls, video calls, once this story came out, creating some kind of strategy, some kind of unity between the Sussexes and the Palace? That, again, is one option. The other option, of course, is that there hasn't been any kind of unity behind the scene. What we're seeing is backpedaling from the Sussexes, but also quietly behind the scenes, the Palace, King Charles, not being very happy that private correspondence is being spoken about. So there's various different scenarios and options, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I know 100% what it is. I don't. And I don't think anybody at the moment out there does know that. All we're hearing is whispers from here, whispers from there, statements from here. And like I say, I think the main key to all of this is, of course, who actually leaked the information of the correspondence, who informed that Telegraph article, who was the informant. That will reveal and will tell absolutely everything. It's the key to unlock this story, and that's what we're waiting for. I hope actually that the original author of the Telegraph article does actually come forward with evidence and does actually say who it was, because it's not completely made up, because Meghan in this statement has not denied it. She hasn't denied the contents of the article, only that it kind of hasn't, I suppose, come from them. It's all a little bit strange, I suppose. Going back to one of the journalists who actually has kind of backpedaled, has also said, given that legal letters have been sent by the Sussex's lawyers as well as the Palace's since the story was published, it seems that this person was wrong in assuming that it came from the Sussex camp. Sorry to all about that, but even more intriguing. Well, I agree, it is intriguing, and I think we do need to know. This is one of those things that is going to just rumble on unless we actually know where it came from, because at the moment we're just trying to make sense of it. Now, I still stand by what I said in the previous video as to regards to trying to control the narrative. The only thing that I think needs updating in that video is the addition of Meghans Statement, which is why I'm coming at you today making this video. I only wish that this statement had been was published at the time of making that video. But anyway, I think that is pretty much where we're up to. The only other thing I suppose to talk about is the timing of it. Of course, these revelations came out on the late Queen's, what would have been her birthday, her 97th birthday. Could it have been a strategy to overshadow that? And also, we have the statement just ahead of Prince Louis's 5th birthday. Could there be an attempt to kind of derail the birthday celebrations, as it were? So I'm now going to move on to Prince Louis, on to happy news, less murky news, shall we say, and wish Prince Louis a very happy 5th birthday. So a couple of embargoed photos were released late last night, ready for, obviously, today, because today is Prince Louis's 5th birthday. And the Prince and Princess of Wales tweeted, "Someone's turning 5 tomorrow," which of course is today. A very happy birthday to Prince Louis, and there are two new photographs that look like they may have been taken. They may have been taken in the spring because there's green cuttings in the wheelbarrow. They were taken by Millie Pilkington. Normally, the Duchess herself, no, not the Duchess, the Princess of Wales now usually takes the photographs. She's a very good photographer. But in this series of photographs, the Princess of Wales features in one of them. We see the side of Catherine in a gorgeous, lovely striped jumper top. It looks like it could be slightly woolly. I'm not sure. Beautiful hair. Her hair looks amazing, and her makeup looks really lovely too. But of course, the focal point is Prince Louis. He's in the wheelbarrow. It looks quite a nice old wheelbarrow, actually. Perhaps it's one that they borrowed from Charles. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure where the photograph was taken. It could be Adelaide Cottage. I mean, the grounds look quite sweeping and quite lush. The lawn looks very lush. I'm very impressed with Catherine's lawn, to be honest. Anyway, Prince Louis is looking very, very happy. He does look like Michael Middleton, doesn't he? He looks like his grandfather, Michael Middleton. Dressed in the signature kind of Cambridge blue, and he's still wearing shorts. I love his jumper, and I love his little kind of checked blue tablecloth type type shirt underneath, looking very, very happy. Obviously, a very posed and very staged photograph, but all involved look really good. Like I said, I'm loving the garden. My eye keeps going to the garden in the background because I really, really like gardening. So I'm just looking at kind of what plants and things Catherine's got going on. The next photo in the series, there's only two, is just a close up of Prince Louis. He is growing up, isn't he? And like I say, he looks, in my mind, resembles Michael Middleton a lot. In the kind of shape of the face and the features. I think probably William's eyes. Can I see William's eyes? I think so. Please let me know in the comment section below who you think he looks the most like. But I do think they are a lovely series of photographs. It's nice to see some photographs with Catherine in with the kids rather than Catherine being behind the camera. Although I do love her photography. I'm not throwing shade at her photography at all. I think she's really quite an accomplished photographer. There is one other point I want to make, because I've been looking all day to see if King Charles on the royal family Twitter has tweeted anything about Prince Louis's birthday of their own, like their own photo. But all they've done up to date is retweet what the Prince and Princess of Wales have posted on their Twitter. So again, going back to Harry and Meghan and the coronation and Archie's birthday on Coronation Day, I think what we're seeing is actually King Charles saying that I don't have to make a tweet or a public acknowledgement of any grandchildren's birthday or anyone's birthday. I do it as and when I want to. The fact that the King has retweeted, or the Palace team has retweeted, what the Prince and Princess of Wales have posted is not lost on me, because of course Harry and Meghan don't have social media, so they can't retweet something. So is this the Palace trying to say that actually we don't have to post anything about Archie's birthday on Coronation Day? I personally still feel that we might get something sort of embargoed, released at midnight of Coronation Day, and then obviously they'll start the coronation posts later in the day, probably about 8 hours difference in time. But we'll have to wait and see. But I do think it's the Palace basically turning around and saying, we don't have to. If you've got social media, we can retweet something, but we don't have to. And I think that is the most recent clear indication of the intent of the Palace. I'm also going to make a prediction. I may completely be 100% wrong, and you will have the right to come to me in the comment section round about the time, and you can tell me that I was wrong. But I am going to predict. We know obviously Meghan's not coming to the coronation. I think there may be a return to social media for the Sussexes. I don't know in which capacity. Twitter, Instagram, I don't know. Maybe even Meghan relaunching the TIG. But I feel that round about coronation time, round about May the 6th, I feel that we could see some kind of a return to social media for the Sussexes. I don't know, I just feel it. I've just got a feeling in my waters. I don't know what it is. Maybe I should take a tablet for it, I don't know. But no, I've got a feeling in my waters that there could be a return to social media very soon, and possibly around coronation time. Please let me know your thoughts on that. Do you think that they could be returning to social media very, very shortly? Okay, and there's also obviously going to be lots of different people's comments and views on Twitter and social media about Meghans' statement. Again, please let me know your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget, of course, to share on social media, and of course do hit that bell so that you know whenever I upload new videos. So from me, mwah, to you all, and goodbye.